Here we are.
Here we are.
We have been at a lot of voice summits together.
Yes.
But we've never actually had a conversation with a microphone.
I know.
It's happening right now.
Exactly. And I hope it happens many more times.
I come to Voice Summit to spend time with people. There's a lot of reasons to be here. There's business reasons and all sorts of things. But to spend time with people like you, why do you come to Voice Summit? Why would you jump on the plane and come out here? You just went to AWS's reInvent. I mean, that's a big, heavy lift in Las Vegas. Now you're on the whole other side of the continent. Of course, we want you to come speak, so I imagine Pete was begging you, please come, please come. But besides Pete begging, why do you come to this event?
Well, I think you probably can relate to this, but the community here it's like no other community. You know, like we got to build this community from scratch. Like a lot of these people we've known for the last, 7 to 10 years, and then new people come every year. And so like the family just keeps growing and growing and growing, and I don't know I could ever miss a year, right? Like it's like missing a year of school or something. A whole generation of people will come and not know, not be able to talk to or understand their experiences. Yeah.
You have such a unique background in all things voice tech, all things NLP. But the thing that stands out to me over and over again about you is you keep staying on the edge. So even though you've done all these amazing things and you're constantly pushing the boundary, like even today's talk, even what you were talking about today, I'm like, this is really pushing the edge of this industry. Can you just share with me a bit about a highlight from the talk that you did today?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm always challenged with is the fact that people, they don't push the edge, right? Like we are looking at Alexa and it just kind of seems the same. The experiences are the same. There's not a whole lot of evolution. And so today I wanted to just tap a little bit into the creativity of people and really just think, what bothers us? Like what's wrong? And so one of the things I loved about my talk today, and I had a couple of people come up to me afterwards and comment on it, was that it's a real human story, right? Like I have people in my life that are literally, their lives were transformed with voice.
That's amazing.
And so I talked about my dad and how he has cognitive issues, and he's just really an aging person.
Yeah.
But voice changes his life. And I mentioned, it's so much nicer for Alexa to say 14 times a day, what time it is, than me, because by the 5th time, my tone changes a little bit.
Right.
I'm like, it's 12. Right? So for people who need, that kind of interaction, a device like this is so great because they feel supported, they feel heard, right? And anyway, and a whole bunch of people came up and they're like, gosh, if this capability was around when my dad or mom was still alive, it would have elongated their life just to have that connection, right?
So I was on Dr. Terry Fisher's podcast like 3 years ago, and I scheduled it and something got screwed up, so I was like on the road. I had to pull off at a truck station and I got my cell phone like in my face, like trying to hold it with the windshield wiper thing, and we ended up crying. So I know I was crying because tears were flowing and I couldn't talk for a second. And he said he got all teary-eyed, and it was very similar to what you just said. Now we went to a different place, but talking about like our parents.
Yeah.
My mom's mom, before she passed, had a couple strokes, and then she kind of lost her marbles in a sense.
Yeah.
And it was tough on her. She'd wake up afraid, doesn't know where she's at. It was tough for my mom. And one of the things that I talked about was like with Terry on this podcast, but I've always come back and remembered it when we talk about family and things of this nature, is the thought of your father being able to have your mother speak to him through the device.
Right.
Assuming that your mother was gone first type of thing, right? And so your father wakes up and his wife's, who's passed, her voice comes on, and her voice guides him through the morning.
Right.
Her voice says,
especially if he's heard that voice for 40 years.
Noelle's going to come in and bring you a cup of coffee.
Yep.
She's also going to bring you your favorite food.
Yep.
And this is your daughter. And then Noelle's kids are going to come in and say hi. And these are your grandkids. And if you don't remember, that's okay. You don't always remember, but you know my voice. You know? And like that whole rhythm of what can be because of this technology is so powerful.
Yeah, and the technology's there. That's kind of my concern is that we've got the tech. We could build this tech. Why aren't we doing it? Why aren't our experiences better? And I tend to lean on my audience and say, like, this is you. This is your job.
And when you lean like elbows out,
With my thumb.
thumbnail.
But yes, I'm like, this is our job. Like, if we're in this room, our job is to identify these pains and fix them, because it's not a technical problem anymore. We don't have to be a data scientist or, a PhD. Like, we just need to take 100 days of code on Twitter, and we can build a solution that can then get funded and then become a solution that the whole world gets to use.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So before we wrap, how about future projection? Like, what are you really looking forward to in 2022? Maybe you can answer it two ways. What are you looking forward to personally, apart from business, just as a human, going into the next year? What are you hopeful for as a mom? What are you hopeful for as a woman, not a woman in tech, but just a human and who you are? And then maybe we could go into the business side of things, but maybe we can start personally. Like, what are you looking forward to this upcoming year?
And it actually dovetails into your last question too, but I actually am looking forward to seeing the needle move a little bit on our disability inclusion, right? Like, it shocks me that I've interviewed hundreds of people at Amazon, Microsoft, IBM, Red Hat, and I've never interviewed a person in a wheelchair. It shocks me that even at this event, like, there's just not a whole lot of people with physical disabilities, but there is a community building technology.
That's right.
And then the metaverse, right, which is like one of the reasons I'm involved in it is because someone with cerebral palsy came to me and was like, I can play there. I can see your talk. I can listen to you. I can raise my hand where they can't raise their hand, right? I mean, there's a little bit more work we have to do in reducing the friction, right, from a development perspective. But like, that's such a rich opportunity. I'm hoping, like, man, it'd be great if it was 2022, where we saw like a space where, where more of us, I mean, of course, as a Latina, I'm like, let's get more Latinas. But my goodness, I just don't know how I could have gone 20 years and never worked with a person with disabilities when they represent a pretty distinct portion of our world. Right? So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, is just greasing the skids, maybe opening some doors.
I love that.
For that to happen.
There's so many reasons for people to want to connect with you. So maybe give a couple top reasons why people reach out to you, and those profiles, how they should engage with you.
Yeah, so the number one reason people reach out to me is usually because they've seen me speak, and they're like, how do I get into AI? Or how do I get into voice? How do I do what you did? Because I am not a classically trained anything. Like, I didn't graduate from high school, I didn't graduate from college, I taught myself everything.
It's amazing.
And so a lot of people reach out to me to go, how do I do that? And they are classically trained, so I'm like, even better, I can help you. The second reason people reach out to me is because I always say I have 5 minutes for anybody. And so my calendar's wide open. If you connect with me, I'm like, I'll give you 5 minutes. How can I help you? And it never lasts 5 minutes, as you probably know.
Didn't for us.
No. But it's just like, we don't do it enough. We don't connect enough. We don't talk to people enough. And we create this weird, there's not enough brown girls with curly hair on stages. I want to just encourage more people with diverse perspective, diverse abilities to be able to do that work and tell their story. And so if people want help telling their story, that's what I want to do.
Love it. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you
for coming to speak.
It was awesome, and I'm glad we finally did this.
I know, and we finally did this.
Finally! Thank you.
Okay, for anybody watching, you're welcome. You're welcome that we brought you into the conversation. This is all for us. Bye.